It's time for the North Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome in another edition of the North Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, where we are breaking down the biggest stories, Districts 1 and 2, week in, week out in the great state of Idaho. My name is Brandon Baney. The North Idaho Prepcast is brought to you by Cornerstone Insurance Northwest. From airplanes to Airbnbs and everything in between. If you live in Idaho, Washington, Oregon, Montana, or Oklahoma, and coming soon to a region near you, Arizona, Cornerstone Insurance Northwest can cover you. Yeah, so tell your friends and family that live outside of Idaho, as long as it's in one of those 6 states. Ryan is the best. He'll hook you up with great rates. CornerstoneInsuranceNW.com for more details there. My name is Brandon Baney. Last week I had to do the show by myself. It was brutal. Nobody enjoyed it. And so I'm pleased to say, back after 1 week off, it is our North Idaho expert, Ryan Scaggs. What's up?
Yeah, it's like going to the dentist. Something you just got to do, but you don't want to do it. Yeah. And also, Arizona is official. I am licensed in Arizona now, as well as Texas, Alabama, and Florida waiting on fingerprints there. And then soon to be added would be North and South Carolina, as well as Arkansas. So, yeah.
Okay. Let me just ask real quick. For those that don't know, Ryan Scaggs owns Cornerstone Insurance. Why are you expanding into all of those? Do you know people in those states that want to be covered?
Business cases. Yep. So when you get clients that move or they have businesses that expand across the United States, you got to match those needs and take care of people. So they didn't want an agent somewhere else, so they wanted to use me. So I ended up, it made sense to get licensed in those other states. So it's growing. I've got pretty much a market now across the Sun Belt states. So yeah,
I'm going to be on some family vacation road trip, like 10 years down the road. And I'm going to be driving through like Mississippi, and I'm going to come and I'm just going to see your face on this like big billboard. Like.
Yeah, I don't know how big I'll be down there, but at least I'll have a few clients down in that neck of the woods. So no, it's cool. Things are growing and been good on the business side of things. And that's why I missed last week. Obviously I was just so busy, and people tend to not pay attention to what they're paying on insurance until tax time. And so my busiest months are April, May, and June. So that's been locking me down quite a bit lately, which has been, why I missed last week. But it's cool. No, I mean, if you've got friends and family in those states too, send them my way. I'd love to help and give the same service I give people here in the state of Idaho.
A lot of converts that come over during tax season. Yep. That is for sure. Okay.
Yep.
Let's get to it. We always seem to start our rundown with golf. It's just always golf bats. Lead off, we did just have the Masters, this past weekend. Rory McIlroy, your Masters champ. Did you watch that at all?
I did. Yeah, I watched the final round. I mean, it was exciting. I mean, anytime you get – it's funny, though, like because you and I obviously doing like play-by-play broadcasting stuff, you listen to how they explain things to where they're not fans, they're patrons at the Masters. It's not the back nine, it's the second nine. Like those little nuanced things during the broadcast that you pick up on. It's kind of funny, but no, it was compelling golf. I mean, down to the last, 17th hole, I think. And then you get the playoff at the end, which was awesome to see Rory get the Grand Slam in his career, finally check that one off because that's been lingering out there for so long. And to see him finally get it, I mean, a phenomenal golfer. So that was great to see Rory McIlroy get the green jacket on Sunday.
Yeah, in terms of broadcasting golf, Ryan, I think you'd be good. You've got kind of that pleasant tone to your voice.
Oh,
you can be a little softer. I don't know that I would do good on golf because I'm kind of like I'm forceful and I'm like a little more.
The azaleas. You can hear the birds chirping as he lines up his putt on number 16.
Yes, that's. You like Jim Nance, probably the best golf. Yeah, Vern Lundquist was good, right? Yeah, Jim Nance has the perfect demeanor to be a golf broadcaster. And then like a couple of years ago, like Joe Buck did like the U.S. Open or something. It was like, here's Koepka, the putt. And I'm like, you're way too loud. Like, stop. Like,
yeah, there's guys out there that like translate in their craft. Like Mike Tirico, I think, does a good job when he does golf. Dan Hicks, obviously, he's known for his swimming prowess in the Olympics, but I think he's a phenomenal golf broadcaster. Just kind of keeping tabs on the guys in our industry. But I think Jim Nance is overrated when he does basketball and football. He drives me crazy. It's like paint drying.
Yes.
Vern Lundquist was the ultimate utility announcer. I thought Vern Lundquist was good at no matter what he did. He would be close to being on, probably could be on my Mount Rushmore of play-by-play guys. But I mean, his call with Tiger, back in 1997 is like, that's still just, I mean, you could hang that one in the Louvre. That was an amazing call by him. But yeah, I appreciate the sentiment that saying that I could be at least utilitarian enough to cover all sides. Like, yeah.
For sure. And of course, this spring, it is the 4A, 3A championships in golf. 6A, 5A competes in the fall. So it's just kind of our smaller schools up north here. We did have the Genesis Prep Invitational on Monday afternoon at the Links over in Post Falls. Your winners in terms of the team score, Kellogg boys win by roughly 15 strokes over Genesis Prep. And on the girls' side, Bonners Ferry wins the team title by 14 strokes over St. Mary's. Bonners Ferry, of course, in girls golf, a little, turning of the page because the Bayer sisters are both gone, Braylon and Avery, who were both outstanding golfers the last 4 years for Bonners Ferry. But some names we're used to seeing: Sydney Hinthorn, Callie Bateman, Noli Hyatt had the top score. She shot a 96. The individual medalist, though, was Malia Miller from Timberlake, still the only girl competing in golf at Timberlake High School. So good for her.
Miller lined up her putt on number 12 as a train goes by. If you've ever played the links, you would know. That's something you got to deal with, is that train horn going off.
I mean, that's kind of the one area, Post Falls, that's still kind of like country. I mean, it's not so urban with just apartments shoved into every corner and housing.
I think it's number 3. There's a house kind of there off to the left that, you get the guy ripping on his side-by-side out on his property while you're trying to, drive. So it's a little wild out there. It's a fun course. It's wide open. I mean, they've got a par 6 out there, I think, that's like 614 yards. So that is a long, long course to play. But yeah, cool to see the high school kids get out there and some good scores. Malia Miller getting the medalist on the girls' side was cool to see as the lone golfer for Timberlake. And it's nice to see the Kellogg's, on the boys' side's been pretty solid over the years, but Johnny Stovern shoots an 83, finishing 4th, and then Easton Town shooting a 84. I mean, for 5th. Like, they're getting consistency out of their lineup. They're going to be a team to watch as the scores continue to drop. We get some nicer conditions out there. We've had temperatures were in the 70s yesterday, and it's still nice out there today. So, I mean, Palmer Coleman from Priest River shooting that 76. That's an awesome round. And then you get Braden Buell from St. Mary's going 77. So some great scores out there.
Yeah, so those guys went 1-2. Palmer Coleman from Priest River, Braden Buell from St. Mary's. And then Kellogg goes 3-4-5. Brody Robinson, 81. Johnny Stovern, 83. Easton Town, 84. So, yeah, we'll keep an ay on Kellogg, certainly in the team race, and Palmer Coleman having a hot season on the links for Priest River this spring in golf, for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. Tennis. We had our first crosstown showdown between Coeur d'Alene and Lake City. Coeur d'Alene takes it 8-4 over Lake City on Tuesday. The boys' matches were held at Coeur d'Alene High. The girls' matches at Lake City. Really, the strength came in singles play, where Coeur d'Alene took 5 of the 6 singles competitions there, including all 3 boys singles. Connor Judson at number 1, Samuel Mendel at number 2, Brody Raber at number 3. The girls nearly pull off the sweep as well. Katie Schell wins at number 1. Maddie Hunt wins at number 2. Greta Nace of Lake City did defeat Maya Jones for the number 3 singles title there. And then Lake City seemed to have a little more success in the doubles portion, but Coeur d'Alene still won the top spot in 2 of the 3 competitions there. Number 1 doubles team of Natalie Knutson and Gabby Knutson take first. Grant Johnson and Caitlin Combs in mixed doubles as well. And then the Lake City duo of Tyson Gersdorf and Lincoln Stowell won at number 1 doubles also.
Yeah, no, a great job. Both teams have played pretty consistent. The nice thing, like you mentioned, though, with the singles, getting all but one match out of their singles lineups for the boys and girls, that's going to bode well. Obviously, you get 3 opportunities on both sides to score those team points. Doubles, you only get 2 doubles teams for boys and girls, and then you get the 2 mixed doubles. So they were able to split on the mixed and then getting the clean sweep out of singles. That's a nice job for the Vikings there. And Judson just dominant, though, at number 1 single, 6-0, 6-0, blanking Sam Rocky from Lake City. And some of those matches, I mean, in the boys' side, especially in the singles, Coeur d'Alene was just flat dominant. 6-1, 6-2 out of number 2, Sam Mandel, and then Brody Raber won 6-1, 6-3. So nice job by the Vikings, and they're continuing to roll on the 6A side as we approach some pretty big tournaments coming up, and other tennis matches that were out there too. Lewiston beat Lakeland 8-4, but we've got at the end of the month that big invite in Spokane is going to be a fun one to see how they do over there at the Inland Empire.
Yeah, that'll be big league competition for all of our tennis athletes for sure. Let's go track and field, where we did have a North Idaho athlete competing on one of the biggest stages you can have during the high school track and field season, the Arcadia Invitational in California. This is where future Olympians are competing at this track meet sometimes. We had Annabelle Carr from Coeur d'Alene Charter go over. She took 12th overall in the 800-meter run. She finishes with a time of 2 minutes, 12.8 seconds. That is the fastest time for Idaho this year. Second time she's gone sub 2.13 in her career. Annabelle Carr continuing to excel for Coeur d'Alene Charter in that 800.
Yeah, 2:12.8 down there at the Arcadia Invite. That's the number 1 time for any classification in the state of Idaho. Continuing her phenomenal career there for CDA Charter, which, you look at some of the other stuff out there too. There was big meets all over the place because you had Pasco Invite was last weekend too. And some of the area schools showed up really well over in Pasco. I mean, the Post Falls boys 4x4 team finished second at the Pasco Invite. So, I mean, you can kind of jump across both boys and girls representing very well in our area and looking ahead towards state meet times and stuff like that. As far as qualifiers, Chloe Van Volkenberg from Post Falls, she won the 100-meter dash and set a school record in the 200, which was huge. That's an awesome job, and pretty cool to see how things work out. And so, there's some good times being turned out locally, and especially we talked about earlier this year, and it continues, though. The throws continue to be a strong point from the north as well.
Yeah, speaking of those throws, new state bests in the javelin established from 2 North Idaho throwers. And really, it's really no surprise that North Idaho typically has some of the best throwers, boys, girls, all 3 events now, shot put, discus, and javelin. We'll talk about it at the very end, but the North Idaho Athletic Hall of Fame banquet was this past Saturday. We had the broadcast of it on IdahoSports.com. And Bart Templeman, who founded and created the Ironwoods Throwing Center in Rathdrum. It's one of the preeminent throwing facilities in the Northwest, not just in Idaho. And athletes come from all over to train there. So it's really no surprise the North Idaho throwers got it going on. Cole Arland at the Pasco Invite set a new state best in the javelin with a throw of 154 feet 9 inches from Lewiston. And Jenna Thate from Sandpoint set the new top mark in the girls javelin at the Lake Pend Oreille Invite, 126 feet even. Jenna Thate is undefeated in the javelin so far this year. And speaking of undefeated throwers, Sage Elvin continuing to rock and roll for Prairie. She's had the top discus throw in the entire state all season long on the girls' side. She has not lost in that event, Ryan, since last year's district championship meet. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, pretty impressive there is indeed. And she's got a stranglehold only adding on to her PR for the year so far. I mean, not her career PR, but through of 141 feet 4 inches. That's an insanely awesome job by the junior from Prairie. And it's kind of wild to say that, as a sophomore, she was so dang good, and she's only getting better as a junior. And she still has another year left So yeah, it's pretty awesome to see. And then also Kimberly Preby of Coeur d'Alene in the jumps has the state best high jump of 5'7" for the girls. That's any classification. So, the girls in North Idaho taking note in those field events. They're doing pretty dang well.
Yeah, the throw from Elvin, the most recent discus throw, came at the Leah Swanson Memorial. It's hosted officially by Deary, but it was held at Lapway High School. And this is really, kind of the White Pine, 2A, 1A schools get together and compete at this. Prairie swept the team titles. On the boys' side, 117 points. Kendrick took second at 105. On the girls' side, Prairie, 250 points, Scaggs. Potlatch, a distant second at 74. I mean, we have to start talking about Prairie as potentially going down to state and coming back with that first place trophy.
Absolutely. I think I said at the beginning of the year too, that, things hold suit, and you see the efforts that they've got from their top line runners and throwers and jumpers. That's going to translate well once you get to state, and especially if you start adding on into the relays and other things like that. This Prairie team could very well come home with the state championship trophy. That 100% agree.
I know Prairie, it's kind of an unfinished business for Coach Ryan Hasselstrom and the Prairie girls. They took fourth at state last year. They missed out on a trophy by 2 points. They finished with 54 points. Murtaugh edged them for third at 56. And of course, Logos won the title last year with 96 total points. But Sarah Casebolt is gone. She's now running at the University of Idaho for the Vandals. And so for Logos, a lot to replace there just with one individual. I think Prairie has as good of a shot as any team. Raft River is going to be tough. Valley is going to be tough, kind of from central Idaho, but I don't see anybody in the Treasure Valley. I don't see anybody from East Idaho that's going to be able to push like that. So
yeah, if everything holds suit and you get good times and everybody stays healthy, that's going to be the big key, is that, you get no last minute scratches or anything like that with, injuries of, pulling a hammy or quad, or, throwers sometimes getting those wrist injuries. So hopefully everybody stays healthy. And if that's the case and they're able to show up with their best, I don't think there's any reason that you should count out those Pirates.
Yep. So we'll keep an eye on Prairie as the season goes along, certainly. And Prairie is the spot to be for track and field this weekend, Ryan, in Cottonwood. Prairie High School is going to host the White Pine League Championships. And so that's going to be another, notch in the belt potentially for these Prairie girls. I'm really excited to see also who emerges on the boys' side in the team race. So,
yeah. And speaking of boys track too, I mean, you talked about Cole Arndt leading in the javelin. But then, I mean, do we really need to repeat that Coeur d'Alene distance runners are good? So Wyatt Carr leads the state all classifications in the 1600 at 4:13.14. That was at the Oregon relays. And then Zach Skinner runs at 8:58.33. Those are both PRs in the 3200. So that's an awesome job by the Vikings going over there to Oregon, to Eugene, and having a huge meet. We knew the distance runners are good, and they're only proven that's going to continue this year. They've got a definite stranglehold on those distance events. And, you could even start looking at, for state tournament or state meet times and stuff like that. If they can piece things together, they're going to be competitive in the 4x8, some of those other things as well. So pretty cool.
Yep. Pretty awesome. So we'll keep an eye on it. And of course we have our weekly feature, The Bell Lap, written by our own Marlo Herford. She kind of empties the track and field notebook every Tuesday with the biggest statewide storylines. And her first notebook of the season was just about like runners from East Idaho and Boise. And somebody from North Idaho was like, "Oh, is this just a thing for Southern Idaho, or is this an all-state thing?" And now North Idaho is kind of forcing the issue, like, "Hey, you're gonna have to talk about us up north because we're doing great and doing a lot of awesome things." So, very heavy North Idaho influence on this week's Bell.
Well, Coeur d'Alene's 1 through 3 in the 3200 at 6A. So, I mean, yeah, you want to read up about, is it just Southern Idaho? Well, I mean, you can start reading and looking around. There's, teams like Post Falls is kind of sniffing around out there too with some pretty good times of their own, especially in the 4x2 and the 4x4. And then you got, Kobe Cameron in the 400 who's a very good runner in his own right. He's third overall right now in the state of Idaho at 6A, and he's only second off the lead. So, they're going to be well represented once they get to state meet time.
Yes, absolutely. So, all right, let's wrap up with softball and baseball talk here. Softball, Coeur d'Alene still undefeated. They sweep Lewiston in an Inland Empire League doubleheader yesterday, 10-4, 12-8, and they're 10-0. But Lake City is also really good this year.
Yep.
So I cannot wait for those two to tango. So
yeah,
it's coming up real soon. It's going to be this Friday, and then turn around and they'll play on Tuesday. So Friday at Lake City doubleheader, Tuesday. But by the time we do our next show next week, the 4-game regular season set will be over, and I guess we'll know once. I guess we'll know once and for all who the top team really is.
Yeah, and then you got district tournament time, and so so they're going to get real familiar with each other real quick here in the next couple weeks. So these two teams are not going to be strangers to one another, and it'll be interesting to see how things get pieced together with who's on the bump, and both teams offensively can light it up too. So it's going to be exciting to watch 6A kind of shake out. I think 5A is kind of a question mark out there too a little bit, and especially in baseball, it's going to be this time of year. You can't really pick favorites still, I think, because it's still semi-early-ish. But you can definitely look at what's going on. And I look at, in the softball side of things, Coeur d'Alene Lake City is going to be exciting to watch in the next couple of days and see how that shakes out and see if it translates to state tournament too. That's going to be the fun one to watch, how the state tournament looks this year, especially on the baseball side with that super regional and everything as well.
Yes. So that's really the big storyline in softball. It's Coeur d'Alene, Lake City finally going to play each other 4 times here over the next 5 days. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, you can go small school softball and just talk about the absolute ridiculous scores that we're seeing right now as well. So there's a lot of crooked numbers out there.
Yeah, it seems like, Genesee and Orofino and
Grangeville looked good. Yeah, Grangeville looked great last night too. So
and I talked about this on last week's show. Grangeville, it's all those athletes we're used to seeing from volleyball and basketball. It's Adelaide LaFay and Karis Barger and Madeline Green and
Addison Vanderwall was 4 for 4 last night. I mean, yeah, the Bulldogs are looking really solid right now in softball.
And this was a league that long had been dominated by St. Mary's in softball. And so it's nice to see some other teams sort of emerging as contenders. Speaking of Orofino and Grangeville, let's shift to baseball. We finally got the long-awaited matchup that we were waiting for between these two teams. They had been kind of circling each other for weeks now. Both look really impressive still, and Orofino comes out and takes away most of the drama, 11-1. Final for the Maniacs.
Aiden Olive throws the handcuffs on the Bulldogs, and he throws a one-hitter with 4 strikeouts, and then included a triple at the plate for Orofino. I mean, the Maniacs they're legit, and that's a team that you look at if you get later in the season and this team continues to get the offensive firepower going. Between Olive and Tondevold and Naranjo and Bonner and Gamble. I mean, all these guys, there's guys in the lineup all over the place for Orofino that can hit the baseball. So it's a team that, how their pitching is going to be with Olive on the bump, but it's that offense for the Maniacs right now that's, I think, the most impressive piece.
Yeah, 100%. And so with the new super regional this year, whoever wins the district tournament will get to host one of those super regionals, but whoever takes second automatically advances to the super regional as well. It's still a mix of, there is X amount of spots based upon representation, but then there are some wild card spots that get filled in via Max Preps rankings. And so I feel pretty good about Orofino and Grangeville both moving on to that super regional. The question is, could Grangeville, if they get paired up somewhere, get hot, run the table, or Orofino conversely. I feel better about Orofino just because they've already done it. They're the defending state champs, and a lot of the same guys are back. But that'll be the big question to me there. So
and you got the culture within that program too, that winning pedigree. That really says a lot especially later in the year, with you get experience going through the state tournament last year, winning it, especially with your, all the drama and everything that was around the team with losing a teammate and everything else. And you get another year this year with a clean slate coming into the year with a lot of those same pieces. I mean, I'd have a hard time picking against the Maniacs if you get into that situation, especially if they're able to host the Super Regional. It's going to take some special teams to come in to unseat Orofino, in my opinion.
100%. Meanwhile, in our favorite league, the White Pine,
the Chaos Conference, yeah.
As the wheel turns, okay, so I finally got it straight. I said at the very start of the season, oh yeah, Troy's the 3-time defending state champ. Then Ryan Holden, our sales manager, who lives in Troy, told me, hey, idiot, Potlatch won the championship last year. So then I was like, oh yeah, Potlatch beat Troy in the championship. And then just this week, he was like, hey, idiot, Potlatch beat Troy in the semifinals last year. It's like, okay, clearly I know nothing. I could just look at the bracket from
It's not like you were there or anything.
I wasn't. It was the first 2A or 1A tournament I hadn't broadcast over the last 4 years. I was actually doing the 6A. But I obviously at this point, I just refuse to look at last year's bracket and actually see how the tournament unfolded. I'm just going to continue with my incorrect assessments until somebody finally corrects me.
Keep throwing spaghetti at the wall until it sticks.
Yeah, 100%. So Troy behind Dom Holden on the mound. Fantastic effort Monday night. They hand Kendrick their first loss of the season, 4-2. And so Kendrick now 10-1. Troy's 5-3 overall. Then we turn around. Troy's got to play Potlatch last night. Potlatch wins 10-2, and Kendrick takes care of Genesee 12-2. This is, I mean, because of Mother Nature, this is, and like so many games getting wiped out, it is a hellacious stretch for all three of these teams, Kendrick, Potlatch, and Troy. There's not a lot of runway. Like Districts is supposed to start in 2 weeks. There's not a lot of room left on the runway for these three powers.
No. And luckily, I mean, you look at weather and stuff like that, and hopefully it looks like it's going to hold out for the next, few days. You can get some in. And as the saying goes, when in doubt, play in Lewiston. There's always that opportunity. But, if you look long-term in the forecast, I mean, there's no rain anywhere to be seen. And especially if you're going to be down south, temperatures in the mid-60s, sunshine. It is baseball season, and they're going to get a whole lot in the next couple weeks. So I don't really see weather being a factor. So now it's just going to be, can your guys weather the storm and the battle of attrition as the regular season wanes on towards the end and you get into district play.
Yeah. And this is the one classification that is a little bit different in terms of the super regional, where 6A, 5A, 4A, 3A, it's all going to be 4 separate 3-team super regionals. 12 teams total are going to be competing in those super states. And then the 4 super regional winners will meet for a 4-team state tournament. There aren't enough teams to do that in 2A. So it's still going to be 8 teams competing in the super regional format. Here's the way it's going to work. Because I've had some people ask. The top 2 teams, basically the 2 teams that play for the district championship from the White Pine League automatically advance, and the 2 teams that play for the district championship down south in the other league, there's only 2 leagues in 2A baseball, those will advance. So the 2 teams that play in each district championship will advance. The remaining 4 slots will all be determined via Max Prep's ranking. And then doesn't matter if you won the district title or not, Max Preps is going to be used to seed the teams 1 through 8. And then essentially 1 through 4 will host 5 through 8 in a best of 3 game series. And then the 4 winners of each of those best of 3 series will move on to the 4-team state tournament. So just looking right now, if the playoffs started today, and they're not, but Kendrick is 1 in Max Preps, Potlatch is 2, Troy is 3. That makes sense to me. Those are the 3 best teams.
Yep.
North Star Charter from the south is 4, Clearwater Valley is 5, Genesee 6, Prairie 7, Glens Ferry checks in at number 8. So that right there, your top 8 right now, 2 of the teams are from Southern Idaho. Those would conceivably be the 2 teams that play for the district championship potentially, North Star Charter and Glens Ferry. And then the other 6 would all be from the White Pine.
Yeah. And And in years past, I've said it's like, man, I wish the White Pine got that extra team in or whatever in baseball, and because you've seen over years, like the top 6 has always been super competitive, and now that you get the distinct chance to where the way it's seeded out, that you can see one of those extra teams making it in, and of all the classifications, are they going to get it right? We'll see. But as it stands right now, I mean, with the auto bids going to the top 2, I really like that. And then seeding the rest, it just makes a ton of sense that way. And the White Pine's just so good. I mean, you mentioned, Prairie and Genesee. Genesee lost last night to Kendrick, but Prairie throws up 31 last night in a game over Nez Perce. I mean, they got the late field goal in the fourth quarter. But I should say, it's like they won 31-4. They scored 26 runs in the first inning. I mean, they only played 3 innings after the mercy rule in that game. But, there's teams out there that can play. I mean, top to bottom in the White Pine, we know it's the best team in the best league in the state. And, until it happens, I mean, they've proven it. So, I mean, you can't really argue that fact. I mean, it doesn't take anything away from like North Star or Glens Ferry, but the state champ is going to come from this conference again this year. It's just a matter of, we've seen the 3 seed win state. We've seen the 2 seed win state. We've seen the 1 win state. So it's, kind of a matter of who gets hot once they do get to that ultimate, tournament.
Again, not going to look at last year's bracket because I've committed to, I believe Potlatch was the number 4 seed last year out of the White Pine League at state. And
if I'm not mistaken, I think you're correct in that one. Yeah.
They end up winning the whole enchilada, just saying. All right. Well, so anyways, White Pine League is going to be really fun to watch down the stretch here. And then I really do think 3 of the 4 teams at the true 4-team state tournament, 3 will be from the North. I still think possibly all 4 could be from the North.
Yeah, it's possible. Absolutely. I completely agree.
We'll see. Okay. We did have the North Idaho Athletic Hall of Fame banquet this past Saturday. I thought real quick we could just run through the individual award winners real quick, just to give them kind of one final nod. We'll start with the girls awards, and then we'll go to the boys. And again, if you want to see a replay of, it was a great evening. 5 different new members of the Hall of Fame were inducted. Bart Templeman, who founded the Ironwoods Throwing Center in Rathdrum. Debbie Buchanan, former Idaho Vandals volleyball coach, St. Mary's standout. She was inducted.
Blake's mom.
Blake Buchanan's mom. We had Mike Yapati, offensive guard for the Idaho Vandals football team and NFL, starter for 11 seasons in 3 of the 4 teams in the NFC West. He was inducted. We had Rick Rasmussen, 3-sport standout at Coeur d'Alene, played football and track at the University of Montana, and then was an official for many, many years, and now serves on the Athletic Hall of Fame board. He's done so much for athletes in our community.
Oh, absolutely.
And then the 5th member of the Hall of Fame class that was inducted was Jim Winger, former boys basketball coach at Lake City High. And so his is a good speech.
It was. It's always funny. I love the speeches because they're like, I'm going to be brief. Every one of them starts, and it's like, are they ever brief? No. Are they good? Yeah, they're all really solid. It was Winger's speech about him when he was ragging on shooting summer league or something like that. It's like that open gym stuff, and he's just like, screw the open gym.
He did. He said you could forget about open gyms at the Croc Center. And then he said basically like, hey, tonight's all about the high school athletes, not about some overweight guy with a flat top. So I'm gonna keep my comments short, which was funny. He had me laughing pretty good. Yeah.
That was a fun night, and it was good to see, the people that we highlight kids a lot. And Jim, though, what he did at Lake City, not just as a coach, but also as an athletic director for so many years, and the success that the teams had, it's a trickle down effect from leadership, and what he did at the AD spot and all the successes, whether it was football when Coach Troxel was there, moving forward into basketball. Obviously, he was a coach there for so long, though, too, as basketball. But it was just a great night and a great opportunity to see and hear words of wisdom from individuals that set the bar and did it very well. And Coach Buchanan's speech was great too. And, talking to the girls in the crowd about, going on and doing great things and stuff like that. It was really, really cool to see. And, we don't know. There could be kids that came across the stage on Saturday night that, they could be getting inducted in 20 years. So there's a lot of great kids and a lot of great athletes out there that did some remarkable things. And it was cool to see them get the notoriety they deserved.
Yeah, and I didn't get to talk to people as much as I wanted to this year. I was busy tearing down equipment and stuff. The one person I did speak to after the banquet was over, and she was sitting one table away from us, actually, was Jenny Teft, Craig Teft's wife. And she just came over and said, hey, I just wanted to say thank you for all the nice things you've said about my husband over the years. And, of course, Craig passed away. I can't even believe it, almost 2 years ago now. Yeah. And anyways, gone far too soon, but it was very nice to meet her. And that's really what it's all about. It's those relationships that we foster.
Yeah. I mean, I got a chance to talk to the Kimberlings from Kendrick and have a great conversation with them and with Mason's folks. And, and Nathan, I should say now too, because he's there at Kendrick, but just a great group of people that were there up front. I mean, if you were in Kendrick or Bonner's Ferry on Saturday night, you were in town. I mean, it was ghost towns because it would seem like everybody from either of those communities was sitting inside the Coeur d'Alene Resort on Saturday night. I mean, you could have sped through town, probably got away with it. And I know that it was Solberg. Bert was talking about it. He said, like, it's the first time probably in a long time they haven't had a fight at the bar because there was nobody there.
Yeah, nobody home. And I guess that's true. Speaking of Kendrick, I did have a chance to talk to Ken Hobart quite a bit pre-ceremony. Ken, of course, is on the board for the North Idaho Athletic Hall of Fame. So it's always a great time for sure. So here are the girls winners. 6A, 5A, Girls Coach of the Year. Kent Anderson from Sandpoint Tennis, Greg Jackson from Sandpoint Swimming. Those were the two state champions. So that's well-deserved. And then,
absolutely. No, Coach Anderson does agree. We've talked about him on the show a ton and well-deserved. And Coach Jackson, with what his team did this year at the state meet, was remarkable. Two very deserving awards, in my opinion.
Yeah. Female Athlete of the Year, 6A, 5A, Zaya Munier from Lakeland.
That was a solid choice. Solid choice.
All state volleyball, exceptional track and field athlete, obviously, and then a basketball standout for Lakeland, also 3-sport athlete. So congratulations to Zaya. The 4A through 1A awards, Girls Coach of the Year, the two state championship coaches, Brian Malcolm, Genesee softball, Gwen Spencer, Logos, track and field.
Yeah. And Coach Malcolm, I've actually known since I was like my son's age, like a third grader. He's from Clarkston. And so, I went to high school with both of his kids, and to see him win the award and watch Genesee absolutely clean up on the awards front was awesome. I mean, we saw him come up to the stage, I think it was like 3 or 4 times on Saturday night, and he has done such a absolutely phenomenal job with that program. That was a very, very, very well-deserved award for him.
For sure. Female Athlete of the Year, 4A through 1A. We'll just stay right in Genesee. It was Kendra Meyer from Genesee.
Yep.
So excellent choice there as well. Volleyball, basketball, and I believe it's softball. So yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I didn't want to misspeak. So congratulations to Kendra Meyer. Boys Awards, 6A, 5A, Coach of the Year, Griffin Rod from Moscow Baseball.
That was a cool moment, and it's so incredibly well deserved. He was so humble about his award, and kind of teared up a little bit. I think, I don't know, I want to put words in his mouth, but he was pretty emotional over getting the award. And the community of baseball parents and fans around that program, I mean, have welcomed him with open arms, and his kids love him to death. And that is an unbelievably well-deserved award for Coach Rod.
Yeah, we have a special treat for the Moscow baseball fans at the very end of the show today. We've got some video of their very exciting walk-off win over Lakeland last night. Boys Athlete of the Year, 6A, 5A, Garrett Leonard from Lake City.
That was awesome. A solid pick. In my opinion, I don't know if you could have nailed it any better than the committee did for that pick.
Yeah. Garrett Leonard is a guy that's maybe a little off the beaten path in terms of name recognition. Not for North Idaho, but maybe statewide. Awesome.
120 tackles in football. I mean, like just a dominant linebacker. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you.
No, I was going to say awesome linebacker in football for Lake City, a team that didn't have a ton of team success, but dude was an absolute stud. And then undefeated 54-0 in wrestling this year, which is just incredible.
Yeah.
So.
State champion in wrestling and phenomenal career for the T-Wolves. And like I said, I looked at you when they announced his name winning, and I'm like, that's the best. I mean, that is the best pick I've seen all night. Like they absolutely nailed it giving him the award.
Yep. And just a great kid too.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely.
And then the 4A through 1A awards, Boys Coach of the Year, Zane Hobart from Kendrick, Nathan Williams from Bonners Ferry, Kendrick football, Bonners Ferry basketball. I don't know how you choose.
I don't.
They co-opt a lot of the awards, and I was like, I don't know if I'm into that. But this was one where I was like, okay, it really is too close to call.
Yeah, there is no coin flip. I mean, like, I don't know. It's 1A, 1B. They're both equally dominant in their sport, and they do such a great job with turnout and retention of their team and keeping the kids involved. And, you ask any of the kids in their program, it's like, why do you love playing the sport you love? And it's usually the first thing they mention is one of these two guys. It's not the game itself, it's their coach. And that speaks volumes about the type of people that these individuals are. Zane's a great guy. Nathan's a great guy. So phenomenal, congratulations to those guys, because they are, absolutely two of the best in the business in the state of Idaho in their respective sport.
Yep. And finally, male athlete of the year, 4A through 1A, Dave Clute from Cameo.
How can you not? I mean, You just look at the dominance, because it's like, oh, he could be state player. He's, in football. Okay, well, for what position, quarterback or DB? Because he's equally great at both. And then you look at what he does in the basketball floor, and he's the best player in the state of Idaho in his classification in basketball. I don't know how you pick against Dave. Like, he, in my mind, is the athlete of the year. There were some other great nominees too that didn't get the award, but I think Dave was the far and away standout for that award.
College of Idaho basketball commit, 28 career interceptions on defense, which is 7 a season in a White Pine League where teams generally outside of Kendrick like to run the ball. So
rock.
That's just insane. So
yeah,
awesome.
His touchdown count was ridiculous at quarterback too. So
yeah.
I mean, you could see him. I think they got a steal for the Yotes on the basketball floor, but their football coach could be sitting there going like, "This guy's walking around on campus. Get out here!" Like, that's somebody you'd want on your program.
Yeah. So the College of Idaho national champions 2 years ago.
No, they won this year too.
Yeah, and yes, and so they're the 2-time defending champs. Yep. They are getting one of the best small school players from Idaho in Dave Clute. And then my brother is actually a teacher over in Missoula, and the Catholic school in Missoula there, Loyola, they ran roughshod, went undefeated, won the boys basketball state championship. Their best player and the Montana Gatorade player of the year, he's going to the College of Idaho as well. So, I mean, you want to know why they're so good. I mean, they're getting the best players from this Northwest area.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know how much longer they keep their coach, because he does a great job, and he's been doing a great job for a long time. Yeah. But I don't know how much longer before some of these D1, FCS schools start calling his name.
No doubt. So good luck to Dave next year at the College of Idaho for sure. Okay, 2 comments here, and then we'll show the walk-off. Sam Buffington in the chat on X. Thanks for filming the North Idaho Hall of Fame banquet, guys. Yeah, no problem. That's why we do it. So everyone that isn't able to be there at the Coeur d'Alene Resort in person can tune in and watch it online. And by the way, you can still watch that. It is on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and type in Idaho Sports, and it'll pop up. And Sam says, I wouldn't like to wrestle Garrett Leonard. He beat me in 1 second by forfeit. So I guess we could put Garrett at 55-0 this season.
There you go. I don't know if Sam would be in the same weight class though, but yeah.
That's true. Yeah. 100%.
Sam would be bumping up a few weights.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, we'll wrap up with this. A little treat for the Moscow baseball fans. Moscow doubleheader with Lakeland last night. They get the sweep. One of the games, though, had to come down to the final at bat. Bottom of the 7th, walk-off win for Wyatt Hardig. We've got some video footage here. Enjoy.
Come on, kid. Here, Wyatt. Let's do it, bud.
Yeah, pretty cool there. I love that. And full disclosure, Wyatt Hardig is a relative of yours, Ryan.
Yes, he is.
What would he second cousin? What are we?
Yeah, I mean it's
nephew.
Yeah. It's my second cousin's son.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a relative of mine. I've known him since he was in diapers. Like, yeah. I mean, I've known him since he was born. But yeah, no, he's a great kid, senior for the Bears, and that's a week after he had to bury his grandpa. So that's a cool moment for him to get the game-winning double on the walk-off, laced to right center field, and gets the walk-off a week after having the funeral for his grandfather. So that's a pretty cool moment for Wyatt and the Bears. I mean, that's a great win. And they swept Lakeland in both those games. In Moscow, you're looking at, can they repeat? That's a team that they looked like a team of destiny last year, and they're looking equally dangerous this year. And you got folks like Wyatt and Tyson Izzo and, other notable players in that lineup. That's a team, they get the pitching figured out. That's a team that can beat anyone. They're a deadly team.
Yeah, because if you look statewide, it really is kind of open for 5A baseball. Like we expect, Twin Falls is really good once again. But Bishop Kelly, they're down quite a bit this year. Blackfoot's really good from East Idaho. Pocatello is nosedive. I'm just thinking of teams that have been at state recently. Moscow's got the pitching. So really that's going to be the key. So,
with Isaacson and there's a nice lineup, and Wyatt pitches too. And I think he threw like a 2-hitter or 3-hitter the other night. So that they've got some arms in that lineup that can throw, and they can get him out there and march him out against anybody. So, that's going to be interesting to see if the Bears can get there. I mean, with this new super regional format, they've got to get there first, but you put them in a 4-game series, look out, because that's a team they can get the mix of hitting and pitching.
Yeah, the idea is the same, right? You need 3 pitchers, whether it's at the super regional or at state. You need 3 guys you can really hang your hat on. And Butch Kiblin has been fantastic on the mound. Connor Isaacson, and then, like you said, Wyatt Hardig has thrown quite a bit this year. They've got Keaton Clark, who can come on in a pinch. So, I mean, they've got some really good pitchers, and so. Yeah, sky is the limit for that Moscow Bears team. And then I loved the ping of the bat. Ping! Just sounded pure coming off. The Lakeland catcher didn't even need to see the run come home. He was already leaving and throwing the mask off.
I didn't catch that the first time I watched that video when my cousin sent it to me, and I'm see it, and then I now watch when we were previewing, and it didn't seem like, poor Nate Bavacqua was a little miffed back there behind the dish, but and he's a great player too. Like that was a great game. I mean, Jace Taylor was on the bump for Lakeland much of that game, and Moscow getting the walk-off, a big deal for them. And in league play, I mean, every win counts, man. Like you scratch and claw with Lewiston and Sandpoint too. So that's a district tournament that we're gonna have to keep an eye on, because we know Lewiston's got talent. Can they put it all together by the end of the year is the question.
That's the biggest X factor, I believe. So, and Sandpoint's kind of in a similar boat. Sandpoint's got that potential. Can it all coalesce? We shall see. All right. Just to wrap up, we were talking about Sam Buffington potentially having to wrestle Garrett Leonard from Lake City. Sam says, we would be in the same weight class. People call me Buff. And on that joke, good night, everybody. Seriously though, it's so fun to talk about all these great spring sports that are going on here in North Idaho as we're getting down to it. There's about 5 or 6 weeks left of high school sports competition for 2024-25. And we will be here for you every step of the way, each Wednesday, typically at 10 a.m. here on IdahoSports.com. Ryan, as always, thanks for doing this.
Absolutely. No, thanks for having me, and best of luck this week in your events.
All right. For Ryan Scaggs, I'm Brandon Baney. Thanks for tuning in to the North Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.